Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Akainu deciding to go after Luffy with all his magma fury. Shanks could be the guy who emerges from the shadows to stop him, creating an epic clash that protects the Straw Hat and reshapes alliances at the end of the saga. That's right, forget Akainu as just a relentless pirate hunter. If the Fleet Admiral, obsessed with eradicating threats like Luffy, ends up clashing with Shanks, the red-haired Yonko who acts as an invisible guardian, it would lead to a fight that could save the future of Joy Boy while exposing cracks in the world government. I'm going to show you exactly how all this unfolds in today's video. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, Akainu establishes his relentless hunt in Chapter 550 during Marineford, where he already controls magma that melts entire armies, executing deserters and declaring that absolute justice does not forgive weakness. A mindset that makes him pierce Ace in Chapter 571, without hesitation, seeing Roger's blood as a plague that must be eliminated. This obsession doesn't stop with Ace. In Chapter 580, Akainu chases Luffy with blind determination, shouting that Dragon's son cannot escape, showing that he sees Luffy as an existential threat that must be hunted down to the end. Shanks enters this equation in the same Chapter 580, appearing like a red whirlwind to stop the entire war, confronting Akainu directly by blocking his attack with a sword that gleams with haki, declaring that the battle ends there. This intervention isn't random. Shanks, who in Chapter 434 discusses world balance with Whitebeard, has acted as Luffy's protector since Chapter 1 when he saved the boy and gave him Roger's hat, suggesting that he has always watched over the Straw Hat's progress, ready to intervene against forces like Akainu that threaten his destiny, as Joy Boy revealed in Chapter 1044. The tension between Akainu and Shanks deepens in Chapter 580, where the redhead not only stops the Admiral, but challenges the entire Marines, saying that anyone who wants to continue fighting has to go through him, a statement that forces Akainu to step back despite his fury, showing that Shanks has the power and reputation to stop even the most rigid admirals. Akainu, promoted to Fleet Admiral in Chapter 6, 150 intensifies his hunt for pirates like Luffy, who in Chapter 1054 becomes a Yonko with a bounty of 3 billion, a threat Akainu would see as top priority, especially after Luffy awakens Nika in Chapter 1044, embodying the sun god that Vegapunk in Chapter 1116 links to liberation against tyrants like Imu. Shanks, who in Chapter 1054 reacts to Luffy's wanted poster, deciding to go after the One Piece, seems poised to intercept hunters like Akainu, as he did at Marineford, suggesting that if the Admiral launches a fleet against Luffy, the Redhead will appear for a duel that protects Roger's heir. Akainu, as a relentless hunter, aligns with his trajectory, where in Chapter 576, he resists Whitebeard's earthquakes to continue the pursuit, a resilience that makes him perfect to go after Luffy, who in Chapter 1049 defeats Kaido, and in Chapter 1126 advances to Elbaf, moving ever closer to the One Piece. Shanks, who in Chapter 434 warns Whitebeard about Blackbeard as a threat to world balance.
失礼。敵戦術機少々威嚇した。てめえの面を見るとあの野郎から受けた傷がうずきやがる。領事の水を持参した。戦闘の意思はない。話し合いたいことがあるんだ。
Sees in Akainu a similar disruption, especially if the Admiral targets Luffy, the guy Shanks saved in Chapter 1 and has watched ever since. In Chapter 1079, Shanks takes out Kid with a strike that echoes his strength, proving he doesn't hesitate to eliminate rivals threatening the future. If Akainu goes after Luffy, Shanks intervenes, creating a clash that in Chapter 580 already showed potential, with the Redhead blocking lava with steel and haki. Shanks' intervention makes sense because he acts as a guardian of Luffy's destiny, like in Chapter 580 when he stopped the war and allowed the Straw Hat to escape, an action that saves the future Joy Boy. Akainu in Chapter 6. 150, as the leader of the Marines, prioritizes eliminating threats like Luffy, who in Chapter 1100 defeats Lucci with advanced haki, but Shanks in Elbaf in Chapter chapter 1126, is positioned to intercept, as he did against Kid in chapter 1079. This is no coincidence. Shanks, who in chapter 434 discusses balance with Whitebeard, sees Akainu as a force that destabilizes the world, especially if he targets Nika's heir in chapter 1044. The confrontation would be epic, with Magma against the King's Haki, justifying why Shanks stops Akainu, protecting Luffy for the One Piece in chapter 967, Roger style. Shanks as a barrier to Akainu is reinforced by the Yonko Marines dynamic, where in chapter 580, the Redhead forces the war to end, and in chapter 1054, enters the game after Luffy becomes an emperor, suggesting he monitors threats like Akainu, who in chapter 1085 supports Imu's destruction of kingdoms. Luffy, in chapter 1049, defeats Kaido with inspiring determination. Akainu would see that as a plague, but Shanks, who in chapter 1 bets on Luffy, intervenes, creating a duel that in chapter 1079 shows the Redhead taking down rivals with ease. The theory ties together chapters like 434, 550, and many others. So, what do you think? Does Shanks stop Akainu, or does Luffy face him alone? Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for more Titan clashing theories. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.